Thank you for turning to 10, your news leader. 10 News Conference with Gene Valicenti continues right now.
Just making sure that we can still build these schools with the current market conditions. A lot has changed since November when the voters approved of this.
We're still committed to getting the high schools built, but we have to make sure it's possible. If we don't have enough money, we're going to have to come up with another plan.
Warwick Mayor Frank Picozzi is my guest today. Good morning, Mayor. Nice to have you back.
Good morning, Gene.
Well, pick up. We just heard that this plan to build new high schools, where does it stand as of our taping?
It's going forward. The bids have been awarded, and construction should begin shortly.
Yeah. Do you think building a big high school, like the old-fashioned high school that you and I went to, things haven't changed that much? Is that still a good idea, or are we looking for a new model? Bust up the box.
We're building them with career centers on them. It's modeled after the East Greenwich model. A lot of people have asked how come we're not building just one high school in Warwick, because the student population has decreased over the years. But there's no place it's logistically possible to put one central high school. Warwick's big. It's 35 square miles. That's bigger than Manhattan. It's bigger than Providence. It would take forever to transport those kids there. And then the traffic problems. I mean, we have a lot of traffic in Warwick as it is. They just couldn't, 5 or 6 years ago when they came up with this plan, they just couldn't justify it.
I'm just thinking of the model. You know, kids get on a bus in the morning, or someone drives them. They go to a big building with hundreds of other kids.
Right.
And you go class to class to class. Not much has changed since you and I went to school.
No.
Do you think that's still a viable model, or in the age of laptops and computers and technology and everything else?
Yeah, I think they belong in school, not learning from home. They learn their social skills. There's a lot schools have to offer. I think the model we use now is the best way to go.
All right. Mayor, you just came to Channel 10, which means you passed the airport sign.
Yes.
To get over here. You like those airport signs?
I love them. I think they're very attractive. Little details like that makes the state look good.
Right. Now, speaking of that airport, there's a lot going on over there.
Yes.
There's a big new cargo facility that's coming, and you've been opposed to that along the way. Have you made peace with that?
I was never opposed to the facility itself. It grows the airport. The airport is vital to Rhode Island's economy and Warwick's, the way we're set up. I was not opposed to it. I just had certain conditions. There's a neighborhood right there. I wanted them to expand the sound barrier that was there to give them some more protection, because it's right on top of that neighborhood. And I wanted to keep the truck traffic off of city streets. That's what the whole argument was. I was never against it. I mean, I'd rather it wasn't there.
Yeah,
but
I'll retract that. You had concerns about it, and I remember I think the compromise you reached was that the ramp is going to go right to it.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes. Keep the traffic on the airport property and then right onto the airport extension there.
You're going to get that.
Yes.
Right off the airport connector. Bang.
Yep. After a lot of back and forth, a lot of fighting, some court action, they finally resubmitted their plans to the FAA that included both of those features that we wanted.
With regard to the airport, you would like a seat on the airport commission. That used to be, but not anymore for the mayor?
It used to be under the original Articles of Incorporation of RIAC. The Warwick mayor had an appointment. And that was taken away by the General Assembly some years later, and the governor got all the appointments. So Representative McNamara put a bill in maybe 20 years ago for 3 appointments.
Yep.
I called him up, and he said he'd be happy to resubmit the bill. And as we spoke, he said that the speaker wouldn't support 3; he would support 1. I met with the governor. The governor agreed. He said he agreed to support 1 appointment too. He said we should have. Then. A couple of months later, when it went to committee, I went to testify with Representative McNamara, and I was stunned to learn that the governor's office had submitted a letter of opposition, saying that it was unconstitutional for the Warwick mayor to have it. It was separation of powers. It's totally flawed legal opinion, but I didn't have any chance to react to that. I was there, and I learned about it the next day from a reporter for the Warwick Beacon.
So the governor doesn't want you on the board?
And apparently not.
No, and why not?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, you must suspect your relations aren't that great with him.
It's not the great, especially after that.
Yeah.
He's a Democrat. I'm an independent. I'm not a popular figure up on Capitol Hill.
But what happened to all the mayors? You all kind of got along. He knows what you go up against. He was the mayor of Cumberland. What happened to that?
I guess he's the governor now.
Okay. Things change.
Things change.
Are you going to push that any further, or it's a dead end? You can't get on the board.
Well. It wouldn't be me personally on the board. It would be an appointment.
Well, mayoral appointment.
Well, it's still. I mean, the legislation still has it. My gut tells me it's dead, unless the speaker wants to go and pull it out for me. But I don't see him doing that.
Let's talk about the speaker. How are your relationships with Speaker Sicarci?
We get along fine.
Yeah. He just said a little earlier in the broadcast that he was on the phone with you. when word came in about that fire.
Yeah, it was eerie. He had just left the State House, and we were talking about some other matter, and he said, I just got a text that said my office is on fire.
Yeah.
I said, well, I doubt that because I get notified of fires. And right when I said that, I got a text from my fire chief. So I hung up, I called him, and he told me there's an office building on fire on College Hill Avenue.
Yeah.
So I called the speaker, and I asked him his address, and he said, yeah. And I said, well, I'll meet you there because it's engulfed.
Doesn't that take things to another level? I mean, hardboard politics is one thing.
Yeah.
Somebody burned down his law office.
Somebody burned it down. I mean, you know, you can't say it was arson, but they suspect
thinks it was.
arson. I agree with him. I mean, I got there 20 minutes after it started. I mean, I was stunned. I've never seen anything burn like that. The firemen were you know, they were unbelievable. They probably was some kind of accelerant, although they haven't detected anything, but it went up.
He'd like an answer, and the fire marshal didn't comment for our report. I guess you'd like an answer, too. It's your town.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the fire marshal can't because it's an active investigation. He probably can't comment on it.
Right.
And that's in the state fire marshal's hands now, too. It's not Warwick's.
Let me just move on to one more thing. Listen, your predecessor, Scott Aberdeen, was in the news. You know him from town. Have you spoken to him since, and what can you share?
I called him a couple of weeks to just see how he was doing. It was just a general conversation. I've known him for years. You know, I'm sorry for what happened to him. You know, I hope he can move on with his life.
Well, this week he pled out. He took it. If he behaves for 6 months, it goes away.
And that's standard.
Yeah, I think anybody would have gotten that.
Exactly.
You're right. All right, listen, let's move on to other things. We talked about your new high schools. You say those are on track.
Yes.
And you support building the high schools that are planned.
And more importantly, the voters did.
Right.
They voted to do it.
Are you going to get a Costco in your town? I heard you were trying to angle to get one.
Not me, not me. I talked to Costco.
Your town.
I talked to Costco 3 years ago. There's simply nowhere to put one. They visited the former Ann and Hope site. It wasn't acceptable, and you know, first of all, Stop and Shop owned the lion's share of that,
right?
And they won't sell without a non-compete clause, so Costco couldn't go there. There was a property off of Airport Road that Carpianato owned. They weren't interested in that one. And there's a big warehouse there now. There is nowhere in Warwick that has 20 plus acres that they require that's undeveloped, that's not open space or residential. So there is no place for Costco.
There's nothing over by the airport you could carve out a piece of land. Nothing over there. Nothing
nothing
that
at
the
all.
state has that you could grab and put a Costco in it. Nothing.
Nothing.
That's it. So you let it go.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's coming to Cranston. Mayor Hopkins said it was still an open issue. He said it was still in play. I don't know. The liquor license and everything comes into.
Yeah, well, he told me that too. I mean, I think the building they wanted to use, which is right around here, it's probably cost millions of dollars to tear down, and it's gonna who's gonna pay for that? But these things take time.
That's around the corner. That was another development group. All right, let's talk about other practical issues in town. Your police department wants red light cameras.
Yes.
It's a moneymaker.
It's not the money. I mean, it's
wait. Now, why would you put them up if it's not the money? And the cities and towns make millions on these things.
It does, but it's to control traffic. I mean, it's getting really bad out there. Number one complaint we have is speeding. People going through red lights, not stopping at stop signs. Our police department, since I got there, we focused on. We give out over 200 tickets a week. And we average that, and it doesn't make a dent in it. So, you know, having these scanners monitor school zones and, more importantly, traffic lights. And a lot of our problem are out-of-towners. I mean, Warwick, we have a lot of visitors. We have 16 hotels, soon to be 18. We have the airport. We have the parks. We have all the retail. We have a lot of visitors, and we feel that the majority of this is from people from out of town.
Speaking of hotels and motels, you have the homeless in Motel 6. That's been going on for months and months. But you know what? I haven't heard much trouble about it this time around. Not like the Nilo last time around.
Well, the Nilo was right in the middle of a neighborhood. I mean, we have our issues with Motel 6, but they don't escalate. It is what it is right now. It's pretty much under control. The organization, Open Hands, they've done a pretty good job of policing it.
Overall, the governor said we're spending $30 million a year on the homeless. That's in addition to the private grants, the tens of millions of dollars that come in from other sources. I think the taxpayer is getting a little frustrated still seeing homeless encampments and still seeing this problem unresolved. Do you have any thoughts about this?
They need to find a way to solve it. I mean, what they do is they kind of sit on it. They put them up in Motel 6, but they don't really have a plan to solve it. They just deal with what they have. And I mean, the encampments are going to get worse now that the weather's getting better. We're going to get a lot of complaints because the encampments will be on the edge of parks and things like that.
Do you have any encampments now?
Not that I know of.
No, I haven't seen any in your town.
No, I heard about one over at City Park, but they dealt with that one already.
Right. The Motel 6 is where you're housing them. Well, the
Yes.
state is housing them.
The state is.
In the Motel 6 on a contract. You've had big plans for the City Hall section over there. What do you call that? City Hall District? It's Apponaug.
It's Apponaug.
You got
It's
another area
Apponaug,
named
it's
for it?
Apponaug Village, but what we're putting in, it's going to be called the Greenwood Credit Union City Center. It's going to be an outdoor skating rink, but it's also ice skating rink, but it's also going to be roller skating and event center. We're going to have farmers markets there. It's going to be a year-round event center. We just did a ceremony breaking ground last week, and construction slated to start in 2 weeks.
It's a little confusing, though, to get in there. Because I'm over there all the time. I'm always going through the Apponator.
You're going to knock the Apponator now.
Right. I gave it that name.
You can't. Yeah, I know you did, but you can't get lost there.
No, I think the Apponator's fine. Listen, everything in Rhode Island's a growing pain. It takes a while. But when you come around it, there's a Dunkin' Donuts over there, and then you go around City Hall. There's little streets. You don't know if they're alleyways. Is that all going to be reconstructed and made easier and more palatable?
It is. It'll be more clear how to get places. I mean, we have to redesign the way you get in and out of City Hall.
Right.
Because there's an exit and an entrance now. There's only going to be one now. But we're going to make that more clear. The goal here, too, I mean, it's going to be a great recreational facility, but we want to rebuild Apponaug. Apponaug used to be the heart of Warwick, 80, 90 years ago, and it's run down now, empty buildings. We want to bring businesses into the area. Yeah. We want to make it the center of the city.
It does get a little lousy looking when you get down past City Hall, and it comes curving again. There's an old bus there. There's all kinds of stuff over there.
And across the streets, the former Williams Corner Dodge that's been empty for years. This is what we want to fill up. We want to bring in shops and lounges, things like that.
Okay.
We want it to be the place to go in Warwick.
With just about a minute left, we've gone through a litany of topics here today, and you've made the case, I think, as to why you ought to be reelected. You got some opposition, though. Are there larger people?
Potentially.
Potentially. Do you think there are people going to move against you?
Well,
other than this person who may, and we'll have that person on at some point, and fair is fair. But do you think the governor and some operatives and is moving behind the scenes to take you out?
Oh, absolutely.
Tell me about it.
Absolutely. Well, I know they're trying to talk to the council president to it, and I have friends up at the State House, and they tell me I'm the topic of conversation up there a lot. The council president who is thinking about running against me, his fundraiser was hosted by the governor and the Speaker of the House, so that tells you the tale right there.
His fundraiser was hosted by the governor and the Speaker of the House, and I asked you earlier how you got along with Shikarchi, and you said, "Oh, okay."
I get along with him, okay.
But you think he's?
I don't think I'm his favorite.
But he's maneuvering.
Well, he must be. I mean, like I said, he hosted his. He didn't come to mine, so.
Why?
I don't know.
Why are you on the outs with those two?
Because I'm an independent. I'm not part of the party. I'm not part of the club.
Okay. Mayor Picozzi, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
We'll continue it at some point. Thanks, Mayor.